So looking back, it really feels like at that time in my life, my corporate job was really ruining both my life and my health. If you clicked on this video, then you may be wondering, why would you quit your job? And how did you quit your job? And you may even be wondering if it was worth it or if I regret quitting. So in this video, I'm going to be answering all those questions and telling you a little bit about my story when it comes to quitting my job. So in a world where making 100K per year seems to be the new benchmark or the new goal, why would I quit my job where I was making over 100K per year? So to answer that, let's go back to 2012, where I was just starting my career as an engineer in training. And I had just accomplished a huge feat, which was completing a 4-year engineering degree, and I had just landed my first corporate job. And when you're new in your career, everything is really exciting and new. You're generally learning a ton really quickly, and so you're experiencing a lot of growth as a person and professionally, and it's generally praised by those around you because you're just doing such a great job as a young professional. But there does come a point where the learning slows down, you've started to get the hang of things, and you're no longer the new person at work, or you're no longer really a young professional, and now you've traded a lot of learning and fun and growth for learning in a different way, which is learning to take on more responsibility at work. And once you're a few years into a corporate career, you may also start to understand what it looks like to be a 9-to-5 office worker, or maybe a hybrid worker these days. And as time went on, I was just finding myself feeling less fulfilled by this career and more stressed out by the pressure and responsibility that was being expected of me. So it really came down to a combination of knowing that engineering was no longer the right career for me and not loving what it looked like to be a 9-to-5 office employee. Things like the morning commute, the low-key stress all day, the unhealthy lifestyle and eating habits, and for me, the general lack of freedom that comes with being a corporate office employee. So there came a point when I knew that something needed to change. I knew this career wasn't a fit for me anymore, and I knew that I wanted a different lifestyle than the one that I was living. And in order for my lifestyle to really look the way I wanted it to look, I wouldn't be able to be a corporate office employee anymore, and I would really need to be self-employed. So it was for those reasons. The lifestyle didn't suit what I wanted, and the career just wasn't a fit for me anymore, and that's why I left my job. So that may also leave you wondering, so how did you actually quit your job? How did you finally pull the trigger and leave that comfortable corporate 9-to-5? So it was around 2016 that I started to get the sense that something needed to change. I wasn't quite sure what, but I just started to get really bored and kind of unsettled at work, and I was just looking around to see what could be next. So I went through the phases of considering grad school as a way to kind of pivot my career into something that would be more fulfilling. So I was looking at maybe I would get a master's of engineering, and then I thought maybe I'll pivot into something like planning or something like architecture, which are kind of engineering adjacent degrees, because that was all I knew at the time. Luckily, I didn't go down those paths because I realized that all of those degrees and those kind of adjacent careers would land me in a very similar situation to the one I was in. I just wouldn't be an engineer anymore. I would be like a planner or an architect, but I would still be working in a very similar environment to the one that I was already in. And as we talked about already, I really wanted that lifestyle change, and I knew that I had to be self-employed. So it was around the end of 2017 or early 2018 that I was finally brave enough to admit to myself that, yep, I want to be self-employed and I'm ready to start exploring what that would look like. And I knew I wasn't just quitting this job to get another job. I was really quitting my whole career and exploring a new career path. And it was around 2018 that I started exploring other career paths in earnest, where I would start taking on other career ideas as side hustles like photography, and I started a little Poshmark shop, and I started an Etsy shop, and I also dove into graphic design. And so I tried all these things on the side while also preparing financially to quit my high-paying job. So this really involved unraveling my lifestyle creep that happens over a decade of working a relatively high-paying job, and also paying off my loans. So I had student loans and I had a car payment, and I wanted all of that gone before I took the leap to leave my steady, secure paycheck. At this time, I also wanted to build up a runway of savings that would last me around 6 months in order to live off of that while I figured out what I was doing and got my business off the ground. And for me, it was really the financial goals that were the most important at that time. I knew once I hit my financial goals, then I would be ready to leave my 9-to-5 job. So how exactly did I quit my 9-to-5 job? Well, I started exploring other career opportunities. I started getting a feel for those by taking them on as side hustles and really diving into them and figuring out what I liked, what I didn't like, and kind of just learning what it was to be an entrepreneur, to keep yourself accountable, to show up for your business on the evenings and weekends, and what it was like to work for myself. I also paid off my debt and I saved up a runway. And so once all of that was done, I knew I was ready to leave my 9-to-5 job. And for me personally, I didn't have 100% certainty on what I would be doing next, but I did have an inkling of an idea that I wanted to be a life coach and explore that path. Even though I didn't really have a life coach business that was off the ground at that time, I was comfortable quitting my job and also very, very ready to leave my job. And for me, that little risk was worth it in exchange for getting out of my 9-to-5 job that I just found was really draining. Now, for possibly the most important question, do I regret leaving my 9-to-5 job? So I was in my career for about a decade before I finally took the leap to leave that career behind. And over the course of that time, my life really revolved around that career. So my weekdays really involved kind of like the stressful rush to get ready for work and then the commute to work and forcing myself to sit at a desk for 8 hours a day when most days by like noon, I was ready to leave. And then I would spend my evenings and weekends largely decompressing and doing chores and things like that. And on top of feeling like my schedule was kind of out of my own control and not in the balance that I would like it to be, I also developed a lot of unhealthy habits over this time as well. So pretty much every day I would run down to like a coffee shop, Starbucks, whatever, and grab a latte and a muffin. And I would definitely use sugar to get through the day and decompress and all those things. And I also just felt generally unhappy and unfulfilled in this career path. And it wasn't because the work I was doing wasn't interesting. It was just because the lifestyle and sort of the constrictions I was feeling being a 9-to-5 office worker just did not suit me. So during this time, I had gained a bunch of weight since school. I had generally gotten out of shape gradually over 10 years. My hormones were out of whack, and I just generally felt like low-key stress all the time. So looking back, it really feels like at that time in my life, my corporate job was really ruining both my life and my health. Things felt really out of balance, and for me, it was all kind of driven by my corporate desk job. And yes, I know there's people that don't succumb to sugar and don't gain weight and stay in shape and do all those things while working a 9-to-5 job. And I think that is really amazing for them. And I think it takes a lot of discipline and focus. And for me, that just wasn't the path that I had gone down. And I had really kind of succumbed to all the things that corporate office workers succumb to. So do I regret leaving that job? Well, maybe if my only goal was to replace my 100K income as quickly as possible and have that kind of be my marker of success, then maybe I'd regret it. But if my marker of success was losing 30 pounds and healing my nervous system and feeling way less stressed and more imbalanced and really living my dream lifestyle that I had dreamt of for years while stuck behind a desk, then absolutely no, I do not regret quitting that job because all of these other positive things have happened in my life. And my life now includes so many things that I was dreaming of like back in 2016. And I can look at it now and think, wow, like I'm really living all of those things that I wanted when I was feeling so trapped in my job. I've replaced the morning commute with slow mornings and walks outside, and I've finally quit sugar, and you can check out that video up here if you're interested in that journey. And I'm on my way to being in the best shape of my life in my 30s, and my nervous system is so much more flexible and I'm so much less reactive and generally just feeling happier and more fulfilled in life. So for me personally, I haven't replaced my 100K income yet, and I know that the money will come and that feeling happy and fulfilled is so much more important to me than making a lot of money really quickly and having my life look good on paper. And so right now I really have the opportunity to continue to build my business around my ideal lifestyle rather than trying to fit my lifestyle into the confines of a 9-to-5 job. So overall, a big no, I do not regret leaving that job at all. It's been one of the best decisions of my life. So I really hope you enjoyed this video. Maybe something in this resonated with your personal story or inspired you. And if you do feel inspired to make some change in your life, make sure you aren't missing this one important thing that I talk about in this video right here. So if you liked the video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up. And if you like this type of content, consider subscribing for weekly videos like this. And I will see you in the next video.